What's up, everyone? Kaiju no Kami here with...
Oh, I'm first now? Cruellica Kain.
And...
Second place, Silver Quill.
Technically, it's third place.
Oh! Like first place in your heart,
And
though,
we are
right?
going to be talking about Kamen Rider Revice. Episodes 3 and 4. Join with the devil.
Join with the devil?
Yes.
That's not the name of either of the episodes.
But it is kind of the arc.
Okay, every time I hear the opening theme song...
See thumbs.
See thumbs?
Whenever I listen to the opening theme song, and it has like that dealing with the devil, I think of the Five Finger Death Punch song, Deal with the Devil. And all I want to do is headbang, but it's to a completely different song.
Okay.
Also, she's probably in a medical advisory not to.
That is very true.
But anyway, so yes, I still love the theme song. In fact, I want to hear the full version.
I can make that happen.
Well, obviously, so make it happen tomorrow. So when you pick me up, I can...
Oh, when you never want to listen to any of the music I'm playing?
No, because your music's crap.
Good night, everybody.
But anyway,
Abby.
into the stuff that matters right now.
Good night,
Revice.
Wait, no, we need to stop this right now. How is it that my music does not matter? I listen to a great variety of rock, death metal, black metal, rap. I listen to a whole smorgasbord.
Okay, but we don't have time to go into this for an hour-long video like we did the last two Revice episodes.
But in all honesty, how does my music not matter? I listen to some incredible
Because
music.
it has nothing to do with this video right now, so it doesn't matter.
It's not fair.
Heaven or hell, it doesn't matter.
I so want that. Bring that toy out now.
Now, we have Revice to talk about.
I'm not hearing any of this. I'm not involved.
Alright, so we've got episode 3.
I'm looking at floof pictures.
Floof?
Floof.
Oh, dog pictures.
No, actually it's a pony, how detailed they rendered the chest floof on the horse. This is better than listening to a couple's argument.
Hey, it's like the colors of Revice, though. Except it matches better.
Yeah, it really does. Folks, you heard it here first. My Little Pony gets colors better than Revice.
It's the same colors, but they're different shades, and they match better than Revice's ugly costume. Speaking of ugly costumes, how about that Deno costume with the mammoth form?
Okay, the mammoth form is what really weirds me out. Nobody can see where they're going.
Well, exactly.
That's why they're on tracks.
Oh, dear.
Okay, at least with the other one, as creepy as it was, having Vice in Revy's butthole, at least one of them could see the direction of where they're traveling. This one, they're like locked together. And it was very awkward.
Reunited and it feels so good.
But I have to say, in this episode, Vice is...
Which one?
The third one. Vice is growing on me. I have to admit, I find a certain type of charm with this spastic attitude and relation to everything around him. Like, in episode 3, all he wants is notice me, senpai.
Show me a little love.
Just pay attention to me, give me praise. And by the time he gets that praise, it's literally like a pat on the head.
Oh, on the hands.
On the hands. And he's like the happiest devil in the known universe. He's like, yes, senpai noticed me.
Of course, then he's also in one scene like, you nearly killed me, you devil. Wait, I'm the devil. You Oni!
That was pretty funny.
The subtitle was kind of funny. Is they chose not to go with Oni.
They chose to go with Ghoul.
Which I guess, you know what? Of all the Kamen Rider series you guys have shown me, which at this point is what, 6?
I think so,
I'm
yeah.
behind. But this is the one where I feel like being a non-Japanese speaking individual really hurts, because I can't tell what the bloody hell's going on during the transformation sequences when there's this wall of text and there's subtitles and there's music, and I looked at all this and I was like, I'm gonna hurl.
It was like Shin Godzilla.
Oh yeah, they put in like 50 titles. I think Godzilla was in that movie. There were too many subtitles covering him up.
Well, I will admit
I did see the one subtitle said we'll talk about this later.
Well, I made a point to try to catch them these 2 episodes because I really wanted to see what the dialogue is, and it connects to whatever their conversation is prior to.
Mm-hmm.
I saw the subtitle, you've been acting a lot more manly lately.
Yes, I did see that one, which was hilarious.
Alright, so the episode starts off with a guy kidnapping the sister and her friend and takes them hostage, and we've got...
Why is this a theme for us tonight?
I noticed that.
At least it wasn't for love. But at least it wasn't for love.
That doesn't make it better!
But he used a similar hold on her. And then, okay...
Because he was kidnapping her.
Apparently, it's interchangeable. I mean, I get the point of Trigger was that this wasn't a healthy display of love. But too many parallels tonight. And Japan, I'm going to have words about the idol situation too.
Yeah, we'll get to that in episode 4. But
so, then we have, I love the monster form for, which one is he?
An ape?
Julio.
No, Julio. The teeth for the eyes and the teeth on the mouth.
Teeth on the shoulders, teeth on the shins, teeth at every joint.
You can tell.
This guy really bites.
You can tell. He truly does want the whole tooth.
Nothing but the tooth.
Yeah, Julio. But I did like Julio's design because it actually is very different than his human design.
Those are the human designs. These elaborate Mexican luchador costumes. It's like, luchador. Why?
Not luchador, Mexicano, yeah.
Why does no one point this out?
Are you thinking of mariachi?
And now I'm being ignored.
I love you!
But I can't keep up with luchador Mexicano. I'd probably
Mariachi.
No, I'm actually not that merry. Achi.
But
I'm a Sadiachi.
Of all the 3 of the characters for the villain side, Julio is my favorite.
Well, he's had the most screen time, it feels like, compared to the other 3.
But
or the other 2.
Does no one in Japan go over and say, hey, that fellow looks rather odd? And I'm sure they say it just like that. But...
No, they're way too damn polite.
I was going to say, are you kidding me? They're probably like, oh my god, I'm so sorry that I didn't think realize you were Japanese.
Yeah, I'm sorry, this is getting to be too much for me. There's Garo and the costumes they wear walking amongst everyday citizens.
With the dusters,
With the dusters. You've got Ultraman Trigger, where a guy is hunching over a railing staring at a young girl, and no one says, hey, that's kind of weird. And then there's these brightly dressed folks walking around, and no one's looking like, hey, maybe that's suspicious.
Well, with how many people cosplay in Japan, though.
Do they cosplay in daily life?
I can no longer criticize the Clark Kent Superman dynamic, for it is tame in comparison to the obliviousness that permeates Japanese culture.
Well, so one thing that really frustrated me on kind of like a personal side, not personal for me, but of the characters, is when Ayaka, the girlfriend for Sister Sakura, when they're kidnapped and she's calling her mom because the kidnapper says, call your family so we can get back. And she calls mom. And her mom blatantly ignores her because her younger daughter is in a photo shoot. Now, this is something I have seen in so many manga, anime, live-action movies.
Manga.
Shut up. So many different series of different styles. And I don't know if this is a testament to what we'll talk about later with really getting into idol culture, but I thought we were bad in America, thinking about like the little girls who tend to do like the
beauty pageants.
The beauty pageants. Or like that show Honey Boo Boo. That was like years ago.
I never saw it.
I never saw it, but I saw tons of commercials where they're glamorizing their one daughter because she was part of the pageant scene, but she was very unhealthy weight-wise and things like that, and they were utilizing it for their own benefit. And I thought that was bad. And so I kind of thought with a culture like Japan, which is more respectful and courteous, I thought maybe the whole having parents be so distant was kind of maybe just a theme for writing narrative. But it kind of feels like with how many times it's being shown, that it's a normal thing where parents really focus on, if you have a child of some sort who has any capability of becoming a celebrity, then your other child gets thrown to the wayside because we need to... And this is coming from someone, yes, I have a brother and sister, but I acquired them, so to speak, later in life through my mom's marriage.
They can get anything on Amazon.
They really can. But, so my brother and sister are from a second marriage. And yes, I do have siblings, but that's a long story for another day. But I grew up primarily as an only child. So I don't understand the dynamic of having a sibling. So you two both have had siblings.
I still have one, thank you very much.
Okay, have siblings. From what you saw there, because they're both of the same gender too, both sisters. So having one sibling get favored over another, did either of you ever experience that? Like, is that normal for favoritism to really exist between children?
I don't know, I don't care.
No, it's a legitimate question.
I think it can. I'm lucky. My parents really showed love to both myself and my brother. They're siblings. You always compete a little for attention, identity.
Well, yes.
But that's different than parents playing favorites. Now, granted, I think there's a difference between playing favorites and maybe there's one child with whom you have an easier time relating. That's personality. That doesn't mean necessarily that you're favoring them. Your favorite, it's just with another, you have to really put the effort in to understand where they're coming from.
Well, yeah, but this was clearly favoritism.
It was. Now, I will say my opinion of the third episode.
Yeah, episode
changed a little thanks to you two.
Okay.
Because at the start, where they're dropping off the friend and the little idle girl is just on her phone, ignoring her, pretty much ignoring everyone. My old man was like, "These kids today." But you two arguing at the start of this review, and this is my only way of having something to do. I'm starting to wonder if that little girl wasn't just trying to escape the bad vibe between her older sister and mother.
Well, there is that. And
do you think she was looking at chest floof?
Yes, she was looking at chest floof.
Or would this be called neck floof?
I've learned something new. To be fair, I've learned something new. I've never heard of chest floof before, and I've watched a lot of things.
Okay, so...
But the reason why I mentioned the whole dynamic of that relationship is because it was so important in this episode, and it's more important in the next episode, but you get to see that very different dynamic of... Because Iki is all about protecting the bathhouse, protecting the family, protecting the good vibe we have. Like this whole kumbaya between our family because we get along. And then you see like the complete 180 of a family that does not have that connection. Like they don't care about each other.
Well...
Or not. Okay, it appears that they don't care about
So
each other.
I also liked, moving past that a little bit, when Daiji gets the two stamps and he's leaving, and you have the henshin device that's like calling out to him.
Oh, yeah.
Where you have like that heart sound, and it's like calling him like, come to me.
But I think that it also goes along the lines of so much, because you get to see in this episode his guilt about not being able to take on that responsibility.
Well, honestly, I don't blame him. I mean, if you take us having just witnessed your commanding officer generate another devil, this was really good development for both Daiji and Iki.
Oh, absolutely.
So episode 4, I loved the scene when Ayaka makes the contract with the devil, and you see her become the devil.
Well, I did want to mention the one thing about the camera is when he's about to stamp, and you actually see it almost like, I was thinking of High Anxiety from Mel Brooks.
Oh, with the underneath the table?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I was going to mention, that was awesome when you see him transforming from the belt's viewpoint. I can't talk about that yet.
He has a booger.
Next week I can actually talk about it. But yeah, I love seeing that scene of the stamp from his viewpoint as he's putting
from
it down.
Below, yeah.
Yeah. All the camera work has been exceptional.
Except for what we'll get
to that. But I love that scene of when she turns into the devil, merges with the monster. That was really cool. I wish there was no way to come back from that. I would have loved to have seen
like a true sacrifice.
Yes.
I gotta say, of the Kamen Riders I've seen, this one seems to be going a lot darker. Now, during it, I did wonder, I did voice aloud, is she gonna die? And Kaiju said, if this had been 20 years ago, yes.
But the thing is, she's not awake. And I'm kind of hoping, I know this sounds terrible to say, but I'm kind of hoping that she's in a coma. That there's going to be some kind of consequence.
Well, yeah, it's like I actually was
to what she's doing.
I was thinking I would love to see her just kill her mother, and then them build off that. But this is a modern Kamen Rider series, so that's not going to happen.
But I will say, coming back from episode 3 to this is what drove Iki to say, okay, there's more to this world than my bathhouse. Because of that simple fact that watching a family, especially because the one line in this episode, the two of us both yelled at the same time.
Yes.
When her mother is like, I might have neglected you. And both of us is like, might have.
Like, you dumb bitch. No, you did.
But I was so... One thing I can tell when you have good writing is when you, and you know as a writer as well as yourself with script writing and everything, is if you get pissed off at a character that is completely fictional, that's when you know the writing was well done. And I was so pissed off at the mother the entire time.
Oh, I am totally on Ayaka's side for this whole situation.
Well, I modify that a little.
Okay, fair.
When you're mad at a character and that's the author's intent.
Yes.
That is, well, I mean, you can identify characters that you're meant to be mad at. When a character, however, is making you mad and somehow the scene seems to be presenting, you're supposed to feel for them. Mm-hmm. Then I think that's a hiccup in writing. So the might have. I feel that in that scene we're trying to identify whether to see her true self and she's saying something incredibly stupid. You just want to throttle her.
Well, that could also be the translation.
It could be, but folks, I'm going with what I got.
Well, and I'm also going from even before that, when they're at the club, and the mom is just completely ignoring her, especially when her daughter is like, well, why didn't you pick up the phone?
When I was being held hostage.
And she was like, well, I didn't think it was important at the time. And then, so that frustrated me, but her following comment
You don't pick up the phone, Ms. Met.
You don't pick up the phone all the time either, where I kind of felt like she was putting back the blame.
Oh yeah, you're meant to, I think the intent there is, but how do I put this, because I believe in death of the author, but that scene, it really does construct her in the worst possible light,
yes,
as intended. The reconciliation on the rooftop, little trickier, might have been translation error, but that, or a translation quirk, that scene weakened it just a little.
It did. That took it away from me. I think, I also think it's the actress. The actress did a fantastic job. Because I think sometimes it's not just the writing, but the person who's doing the portrayal has to own it.
Well, her visual expression, she really radiated cluelessness. I mean, this was not malicious ignoring. This was genuine, lady, those eyes of yours are huge. Why can't you see?
Well, exactly.
No, seriously, she got a bug eye.
Oh, not like the guy in X-Aid.
Oh,
Because
God.
we watched the first 3 episodes of X-Aid, and there's this doctor dude that has these creepy bug eyes.
Oh.
So, I do want to get on to what you wanted to talk about with the idol culture.
Before we do, though, since we're on the topic of writing, in describing the contract and what the villains are aiming to do with these Stage 2 contracts,
Oh, let me see your phone.
no one said, as you know, but it was almost uttered.
It was. It was definitely a, that's for episode 3, so you have to go up. But it definitely was an exposition dump.
It was. Now, it's vital to know the stakes in this, but when villains are walking around telling one another what they already know, you get... I even quoted Dark Helmet. Everybody got that?
I don't care about that at times because whatever. You've got to... Sometimes there's just no way to tell the audience on that without...
I don't know. I mean, raising the stakes, mocking the heroes with this knowledge.
See, that's how I thought it could have been done. Because Aguilera was there the entire time. If she kind of threw that in our faces, I think that would have been a little bit more impactful. Because it was almost like, well, what's her point there outside of being the devil over Ayaka's shoulder telling her to take that?
And stepping on Wait, is it Rev?
Revy is the rider.
Icky and...
Revy is Iki and Vice is the devil.
Yes. But now to idol culture.
Okay.
To the people of Japan, I'm going to be intractable on this.
It's creepy.
I don't understand idol culture, and I don't think I want to.
No, you don't.
Let him finish.
Given all that has happened here in America, Jean Benet Ramsey.
Oh, God, that's a really good example.
As you said, Honey Boo Boo, child performances. There's a very dark atmosphere surrounding that.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
under heavy criticism in our culture. And because of that, I can't just detach what I've witnessed in the world and say, okay, what I see in this culture. I'm genuinely worried when I see 3 young women showing on stage and they're being worshipped by grown men who seem way too enthused. It sets off warning lights.
Well,
that's...
Well, and I think that's a frustration because not that we as adults can't like music that's sung by different age groups, because I don't think that's your intent.
How to put it? Singing a song, well, okay.
Like, if you're going to a concert, that's different than enjoy...
Well, that was kind of a concert. Jackson 5.
Okay.
Great performances. People love seeing them on like a late night show performance. But again, there's this terrible dark culture. I'm of the mind really that kids shouldn't enter the acting world. I understand that we need child actors for a drama sometimes. But there's such a dark legacy with that of how the children are treated, how they are denied proper development into adulthood, how they are abused and manipulated by their parents.
I think there's a double-edged sword there. I think, so acting world, obviously I'm not an actor, so I've heard many
But you
of this.
play one on TV?
Exactly. I'm going to get my Emmy. But, I think the music, in my personal purview, the music industry and the acting industry are so diametrically different. Because with the acting industry,
it comes down to when you start exploiting the child. And that's what idol culture in Japan does, is they exploit the child.
Because for music, I actually feel really uncomfortable. Like, even as a fan of certain artists, I have a hard time liking younger artists because I find it a little bit creepy. Because I can't relate to them any longer. Like when they had this one musician on SNL, Olivia Rodrigo, she did this song called Driver's License. And it was very well done. She has great chemistry, great presence and everything. But she's like 17, 18. And the way she had to be, well, not the way she had to be, but the way she portrayed herself was much more mature than for her age. And same thing with like John Benet Ramsey. Obviously, many of you may not know this story because it happened so long ago.
Yeah, I'm old.
But seeing pictures
I never
of
even
her,
heard of the person until we moved to Colorado.
but seeing this little girl, who truly was a little girl, all dolled up, she looked like a damn adult.
And, well, for those who don't know, she was murdered. The killer was never found.
It was her parents.
No.
That is heavily suspected.
There's
but
a lot.
It was her parents.
But people talked about how her parents paraded her in these settings. It was a source of money, pride.
Yes.
So, I guess in both here in America and in Japan, I would say there needs to be sterner laws to prevent the exploitation.
Like, okay, here's a bit of
Wow, I'm getting really political tonight.
No, I think it's important. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, Yakuza, because you might remember from when I covered in my Yakuza 5 review.
Yeah.
When the girl had the question from one of the reporters, if you were 18, would you sleep with a middle-aged person? That was a question, and I was like, are you freaking kidding me? How is it okay to ask a child this? And people were like, well, that's just Japanese culture. I'm like, I don't care if it's Japanese culture. That's disgusting, and they should be held accountable for that bullshit.
Dang.
Well, I think, so, not to get too dark, but I think of like what happened to Drew Barrymore. When she was a kid, after E.T., Firestarter, she was a child and she took more drugs than I had even contemplated in my life because she was heavily exploited. And it took her many, many years to get clean, and she still, obviously, it just my opinion, but she still looks like she's struggling not of drug abuse, but of the consequences of what she did so young. And I think the problem with it was, I think, not to get too far out of the scope, but we had a mother who basically abandoned her elder child for her younger child
To exploit her.
To exploit her.
That's why I think the mother should have died.
And then the younger child, obviously, I think she's like 13, or at least prepubescent, like.
Oh, in the show?
In the show.
Yeah, no, she's way too young.
But still, does she even understand what she's doing? And that's the other argument I have, is I look at other child actors who have grown that we have watched, like Jeed's actor. He was a child actor on all these different shows, and basically we got to watch him grow up as we watched other Toku series.
He played the child version of Marvelous in the Go Kaiju vs. Gavin movie.
Huh.
Makes us feel incredibly old because I'm like, wow. But so there are kids who don't get exploited or are protected enough.
I hope.
But watching something like this was really frustrating because I'm not against kids making their way in the world. If they're talented, obviously, any responsible person should give them the opportunity
But when you dress them up like hookers and you have them on stage and you've got the entire audience is nothing but middle-aged men, there's a problem.
Although, funny enough, World Order, that music video, Have a Nice Day?
Yeah.
I really enjoy that, but reading the comments, I learned something. This video also features idols. They're older. Young women, I think they're in their 20s.
Uh-huh.
There's this scene of a broken hot dog, which I never quite understood until I looked in the comments. Apparently, when you become an idol, you sign a contract forbidding you from any sort of romantic relationship.
Until you're 27.
Until you're 27, because they don't want to lose an idol to marriage, pregnancy, what have you.
Well, yeah, because by that time you age out.
Which,
basically,
I'm not a fan of that.
Actually, that's something that I'm dealing with in playing through in Judgment with an idol.
Because that's even a big thing in America. Is once you hit a specific age, you're actually considered old.
30.
Well, I'm not thinking of her comment from one of her panels, but I've heard, I was just reading, you remember Elvira, right?
Oh, yeah.
She started her career in her early 30s. And she even mentioned in her book, when I first started reading it, that she had a hard time finding a job initially by the time she was ready to get into film and everything because she was old. 30 is old in the entertainment industry.
So, at NDK, Wendy Pollard said in one of her panels that apparently Funimation has an old voice actors list. And she and the lady who does Chi-Chi's voice are on that list. And she was like, wait, we have an old person's list?
Oy.
But, so I know we're focusing a lot on something, but it took up a lot of the episode.
Revice is reflecting a lot of Japanese culture. Now, I want to point something out. Look at me getting all serious about this. When we did our Trigger review, I'm being Freudian as can be.
I know.
There's a very critical difference that while Trigger is kind of light on content, and
It's boring.
You really find your own fun, let's just say. This Revice, I gotta give credit that the characters get really fleshed out. There's a lot of tension between the characters.
And it feels like the stakes are real.
The stakes are real, and therefore when I see this idol competition, I'm not treating it as some goofy one-off. It feels more a reflection of genuine culture.
The other thing I have to say, because I know we picked on the first episode when you and I were reviewing it because we referenced Roop so much, but I feel like it is actually going beyond.
Okay, except on that note that I was going to say, except for George is totally Aizen because his entire Kamen Rider collection.
Okay, yes. So...
Wait, I'm sorry, you say Aizen. I think Bleach.
In Ultraman Rube, Aizen was a corporation owner who created the belts for that universe. Well, he's an Ultraman fan. He's the one that became Ultraman Noir Black Schwartz.
Noir Black Schwartz.
Yes.
Say it. I wait for you to say it because it was said in the series multiple times.
Noir Black, may the Schwartz be with you.
No.
What do they all mean?
Pretentious? No, dark, yeah, I know.
Black.
No, Ultraman Black.
Black.
Yeah, they're like, wait a minute. Noir Black Schwartz, so he's basically Ultraman Black?
Well, sorry, but I'm thinking Spaceballs.
No.
Dark helmet. Everybody got that?
May the Schwartz be with you.
But I do have to say, I am really liking this family dynamic, especially in episode 4, when you have Iki versus the building development people. And he is going head to head.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, was episode?
Because that was when the dad came in.
Oh, yeah, and he was about to sign away their bathhouse.
and everyone's holding him back.
And then Iki's running away. Don't let go of my dad.
You got it.
But no, the fight between Daiji
Daiji.
and Iki was also pretty awesome.
Yeah, and we're talking verbal fight.
It was verbal, and what I really liked about it, kind of going out of the characters, but going to the actors more so, is they gave believable performances. All of the actors, I haven't looked them up to see what they've done outside of this, if they've done anything, but they're working really hard, and they're doing a good job. Like, the voice actor for Vice, I'm not going to get into anything outside of that. I actually have to say, he fits the spasticness of the character because of how deep his voice is. Because the one thing that you don't have in a lot of Japanese actors is that deep voice. They have more of a higher pitched voice, and you do have deep voice actors in Japan.
Well, Dargon had a deep voice.
But it's not as plentiful as like what we have here in the States.
So,
Okay, let's pop Trigger back in. I need to apparently get all lighthearted and irreverent again. Although, if we're talking about ending on a somber note...
Well, before we get to that part, so I was correct. The pterodactyl form is Fies.
Oh,
Really?
it is Vice.
Yes.
Okay.
We both thought it was Kiva.
No, as I said, because the way the chest looked, because Fies had his second upgrade form, his chest would open up and flip upward.
There's that Freudian joke I'm looking for.
Plus, if you look, because the way his thing is done, his helmet, the bug ears, the antenna are more close to the helmet like Fies' was.
Well, I just thought they looked like bat wings at first. No,
Yeah.
that makes sense for...
Plus, I haven't seen Fies.
Well, I've seen Fies, but it was a long time ago.
I'm whispering.
Open your eyes for the next Fies. Anyway, so yeah, that form, at least he turned into a bike instead of...
Okay, that was actually kind of cool.
Except for that really bad video games cutscene.
Okay, can I finally say I found worse CGI than
Zenkaiser?
I don't know. I still think it blended better than Zenkaiser. I couldn't see a green screen glow around the character.
That's because it just looked like a PS4 video game.
I'll take it.
Like when he goes and throws the buses, they were so... They looked
Oh my god, they look like PS2 graphics.
They looked like they were taken out of Shin Godzilla's CGI.
Actually, could someone like animate a PS2 era Spider-Man going through the background?
But they look so old school.
Oh
video
my
game
god,
graphics.
the CGI was so... The chase itself would have been cool, but that CGI just completely ruined it.
Well, for me, it was more Vice screaming of the power of love expressed through machine guns.
I know. Well, Vice was so I think that's what I enjoy about Vice is because whenever you have like emotional moments, they have Vice kind of chime in, not to take away from the emotion, but to kind of bring it back down to earth.
A background noise.
Yes, because now we've had like comic relief characters who ruin the moment completely.
Like the dude in Wizard.
And I was kind of fearful that that's how he was going to be, is that I'm going to ruin every powerful moment. Because especially when...
Give it time.
Well, it can happen, I know, but for episode 3, when he did 1, 2, or 3, 2, 1, and you had like this big explosion because it was the final attack, and then in episode 4 you have the 3, 2, 1, and Iki is holding Ayaka.
And I like when the hammer falls on top of, or not the stamp, falls on top of Vice's head.
And then you have this big explosion of love, as he calls it.
And Iki, how long are you going to hold her like that?
Alright, so yeah, at the end we have this weird moment where the photograph, someone disappears from the photograph.
It looked like it was Iki disappearing.
It does, and makes me wonder if Iki was never really there. We were seeing more his wish he had been there.
Or his regrets for not being there.
Which makes me think that this family isn't so clean cut.
Well, so the actor for the dad had actually said in an interview the other day that you're going to learn more about why his dad acts as goofy as he does, and it might have to do with a prototype driver.
Well,
because the one thing that I don't think they're going the route that Ikki is not really there, or Ikki's not part of the family.
He's the family demon.
Well, the reason I say that is because they played this whole thing on Rue, where the sister wasn't really the sister, so to speak. Long story, I'm not going to get into it.
Or they pulled an Afro samurai. Ninja.
But I'm kind of hoping that they're not going to go that route. But I do like the idea that maybe there are sins or skeletons in the family closet.
Count up your sins.
Because I think that would make the story even more... I don't know why I feel like I enjoy this series so much so far. I don't know if it's because I'm not having... Because the last really good Kamen Rider was 01, because Saber is...
2 years ago.
Because Saber, like...
Well,
is
there's
nothing.
different things. It could be because we're in this Kamen Rider mood right now.
True.
Because of stuff. It could also be...
Well, we're watching Kuga, so yeah.
It could also just be that it's way better than Saber's first episode, that the bad stuff hasn't kicked in yet.
Well, I kind of feel like
or it could just be because the dynamic is different from other Kamen Rider series. It feels fresher.
Well, I'm also going to look at for one thing, because you have two different series that are both anniversaries. You have Zenkaiger and now this. And I kind of feel that while they're not doing blatant references to series, like you get the subtle with the costume changes.
Easter eggs.
Exactly. They're more like Easter eggs, that it doesn't feel like they're ramming it down your throat and not following through with it.
You mean like Zenkaiger is doing?
I like Zenkaiger, but I will say that of the two anniversaries so far, in episode 4, I'm getting more of a subtle...
I like the humor of Zenkaiger. On the anniversary side, it's always like, remember this? Yeah, remember?
I actually think, having not watched Zenkaiger for the last 3 weeks, I think Zenkaiger may be the worst Sentai anniversary season.
Well, we'll get back to watching that. But my last comment from my take on this is, I will say, watching George play with Ichigo's figure art and doing rider kick was like the best thing ever, because I live with a giant man-child who plays with his toys to take pictures all the time. So
I'm just glad he does more than focus all his time on his hair. That does not look like an easily done braid.
But he was doing pull-ups, and I was like, I hate you, dude. I can't do a pull-up to save my goddamn life.
I think he had a support bar underneath, though.
Even if he did, he could still do better than I could.
Well, anywho, we're not here to make people feel inferior. Unless it's to me.
Haha. Unless it's Timmy. But overall, yeah, I'm liking the series so far. I'm not going to go out and say, oh my god, this is the greatest Kamen Rider series of all time! But it's been pretty enjoyable.
How about you?
How shall I put it? I was intrigued at first by the concept of the dark shadow self.
Mm-hmm.
The dark shadow self. Yes, the noir black Schwartz. No, I'm still intrigued, but now more by the family dynamic. The overt devil was sort of the hook, but now we're getting into the more subtle family dynamics. Just wait until they get to Thanksgiving dinner. Oh wait, Japan.
I will say though, between the first 4 episodes of Revice and the first 4 episodes of 01, I will say I actually like the first 4 episodes of Revice more than 01's first 4 episodes.
I guess it depends on the mood you're in. For Dark Hook, yes.
Because
For fun, I go 0.
I don't think I really started to like 01 until about episode 7 or 8.
How dare you?
And then it fell apart during that second arc.
How dare you?
I dare just fine, thank you for asking. But, I'm not getting that belt. I cannot take this Kamen Rider seriously.
I do not like the gimmick.
No, I can honestly say this is one of the few gimmicks.
I think it's awful.
Although, I will say that the driver they hinted at, the secondary driver, I'm assuming, that looked a little cooler.
I think because of the black and the red, that kind of offset it a little bit. It's just, okay.
The Dark Shadow Noir Schwartz?
Let me just say one thing. In all the kooky things that I have gotten into, the 2 things I have never purposely gotten into because I thought they were weird was coin collecting and stamp collecting. And this is not to put down anybody else who has an interest in that.
I like the O's belt, and that's my favorite gimmick. And I don't like coin collecting. But the O's gimmick was awesome.
That's because you can't change.
Those are the 2 things that...
Oh yeah, treat me rough. Oh yeah, bring it. Oh, now
I
the touch.
just can't get
right there.
into that.
Woo, yeah.
Give me back my pillow.
We're back to trigger. Be sure to wash that.
But anyways, now that I have to protect my pillow from abuse...
Get some Febreze.
But the stamp gimmick just... No.
It's bad.
For me, well, actually, the magnetic imprint is clever. It's just the colors and the sheer goofiness. I take Kamen Rider a little bit more seriously because it's the older brother
Yes.
to Super Sentai. And having these bright, colorful... I had the same trouble with X8, even though I've been assured that's a really good story.
I don't know. We're 3 episodes in, and so far I'm like, this is gonna be painful to sit through.
Oh my God, get over it. But
Well, that'll...
well, just think. It takes a real man to wear pink.
My grandfather rocked a pink shirt, so I will agree. But he looked better in a pink shirt than a guy wearing a mask looks. Do you know how bad it has to be when you can't make a mask look good?
Okay, if you had to choose between the 2 pinks...
My grandfather and Kamen Rider? Grandfather, no question.
No!
You're biased.
Okay, of Decade's pink color scheme and... Okay, Decade's pink color scheme, Exade's pink color scheme, or this pink color scheme. Which do you think works the best?
Decade.
Yep, Decade.
Because of the black.
Well, I also think because of the helmet design.
And the pink was darker.
It's bolder. It's a striking contrast. This is more pastel, like the chest flute.
Oh my God!
Anyway, on that note, check out Revice if you haven't done so yet. Click like, subscribe, the bell notification, whatever else YouTube tells you to click on to support us. You can support me at Patreon, Kaiju no Kami, Facebook, Kaiju no Kami, Instagram, Kaiju no Kami, Twitter, Kaiju no Kami, and my website, Creativity by Design LLC.com. And the Kaiju no Kami store will be up in a few days, and you can also find Silver Quill at
YouTube, Twitter, and DeviantArt. Look under MLP Silver Quill, or After the Fact, ye shall find me. And if you do a search for Pony Floof, ye shall find it too. So, there you go. Here, look at and behold it. Look,
Not everyone!
you can't not look. You can't not look. You
Just, it's so weird.
hit the like. Hit the like.
Does Twitter have the dislike button yet?
Not yet.